Hi everyone and welcome to another pick a card reading with the subject what is your next big breakthrough and when is it likely to happen? Now the reason I have chosen this subject is that in the present moment the astrology speaks about a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties, and especially in the Scorpio season this really pulls all of our frustrations to the surface, so we have absolutely no other choice than just to be honest with ourselves, admit it, process it, as painful as even more frustrating as all of this gets. But the good side, the positive side to all of this chaos and crisis and turmoil, and of course the upcoming eclipses are just gonna make that even more intense. But anyway, the good side is the potential of a massive breakthrough, and this is where the potential stays together with the challenges, with the difficulties. It's not like, all until next spring, everything is gonna be just challenge, just crisis, just difficulties, just, the sheer terror of having to live through all this insecurity. But the chances for the breakthroughs are also going to stay with us every single day, every single second, even millisecond, as long as we choose to stay strong, to embrace it, to do the journey, not to back up. We are making sure that very next second can have a chance for breakthrough. And it's almost like rolling the dice. We roll, and most of the times our roll is not high enough, let's say, but there is that one time when the breakthrough is definitely aligned and coming. And especially in these more difficult times when it's not so very easy to hold on, the promise or the forecast, the foresight of that breakthrough can really act as a strong motivator to just make us hold on to determination and ambition, self-care, self-love, whatever it takes, that much stronger. So that is the reason I have chosen this subject. The instructions are simple as always. Just take a look at the 3 piles of cards for a couple of seconds or as long as you need to, and then choose the one which speaks to your intuitive senses the most. And naturally, timestamps for the 3 different interpretations can be found in the comments below and also in the description of this video. So with this being said, let's get into the reading. Hello everyone who has chosen the first pile. Your cards are the King of Pentacles, the Temperance, the Six of Swords reversed, and the Four of Swords. Now the combination of these cards suggests to me that for you guys this breakthrough is more or less of a financial or material nature. Of course, this doesn't necessarily have to mean that sum of money or just sheerly money or income, livelihood, but it means that it has to do with physical reality. So even if it's not strictly money, it is still physical reality, and what you need for this breakthrough to deliver to you is security. It is just the sense that you're okay, that you're safe, that tomorrow is not doom and gloom, so you're actually okay in your life. That you don't have to struggle, you are not really on alert mode anymore, you're not in survival mode, and you really need this feeling, this comfort, this sense of security and groundedness, because you're in a phase of your life, and when I say phase of your life, it's the big picture, so this might be tens of years, where you're dominated by your creative instincts. So you want to create, you want to do something, you want to be immersed in your act of creation, regardless if, for some people this is professional, for others it's more like their life path, they want to do something. For others it's simply being a family, a parent. That is also a creative process, because you created new life, but you have to nurture it, teach it, protect it, and of course harvest the rewards. Bask in the happiness, be proud, grow up with your children, basically. So, in either sense, you need this security to be present in your life, in the creative phase in your life. And of course, this King of Pentacles speaks about the past, both the recent past, but also the more distant past, where you have really, really tried everything in your power and made so many sacrifices to have that security, that stability in your life, which kind of means that you had a lot of going back to the drawing board moments, and this is the more distant past. You tried a lot of approaches, a lot of plans, a lot of different, like perhaps business ideas, projects, modus operandi, to get into that position of stability, security, of comfort, basically. And in the more distant past, you had a lot of downs, you had a lot of moments when it failed, when it collapsed, or sometimes it wasn't even when physical reality or your project or your goal collapsed. Sometimes you collapsed and then everything collapsed upon you. But the last major collapse was really significant because it kind of purified you. It took away all the falseness. And when I say falseness, it's not necessarily the falseness of others, but the illusion of the world, if you know what I mean. When someone just seeks stability and stuff like that, security in all the wrong places. For example, the wrong kind of business, the wrong kind of community, the wrong kind of approach to worth and value and business and income and how someone should enact their life goal, for example. And even though all of this sounds so easy, I speak about this so lightly, but for you it was infinitely hard, and it was also Dark Night of the Soul related. But anyway, after that episode, you gathered all your strength and set out on a new journey where you said, this time I'm really, really doing it. It doesn't matter what happens. I cannot fall because I'll just adapt to anything life throws at me. I'm not gonna give up on my dream of having that stable life. I don't want luxury. I don't want to be a millionaire. I don't want to live like the rich people. I just want to be me. So I need my life materially to give me the conditions, basically, to be me, and my conditions are quite minimalistic, to be honest. So this might have been what you were thinking when you set out on this journey, and naturally it was a lot of hard work, but maybe for the first time you actually achieved triumph. So a lot of things that you have done, sacrifices, time invested, etc., soul searching, and not to mention, moments of being there for yourself and just motivating yourself. So all of this was not very easy at all. But for the first time, as I said, this is when you actually got palpable results. And by that I don't mean the money, I don't mean the moment of success itself, because you had those all your life. Where I mean more about when it worked out, maybe not even the way you expected, but it still worked out. The feeling of it really hit home. Something inside of you perhaps for the first time was genuinely grateful, and you just felt that it's so right, it's so you, that this is exactly what your life is about, this is exactly what you need. So basically the triumph was more psychological, because even though maybe you achieved in your life greater triumphs than this, but the feeling of it, how right it felt, that was the new things that you never ever experienced before. So basically what these cards are showing you, that your journey continues, and even though you are expecting for that moment of breakthrough, that breakthrough is not a single event. It's not like a moment of glory, and after that moment of glory comes, everything is gonna be alright. but it's rather like a much bigger work in progress. It's just building up. It is like a construction. When you're constructing a tall building, every single brick, every single element counts. Everything makes the building bigger, stronger, more stable. So basically what these cards are telling you, that you're actually the breakthrough that you're looking for. And this sounds a little bit funny, but you kind of giving into doing that which you love, living that which you love, being that which you love, being just totally unapologetically honest with yourself and living it. That is what you always needed. And that is why right now there is no storm, no lightning, no tower moment that is gonna destroy that which you're building, because for the first time it's truly you. And you just doing what is truly you, it is profoundly healing, profoundly alchemical, the temperance of course. As you heal, as you regenerate, as your inner structures become more stable, more authentic, more, let's say, Jupiterian-like, this is literally starting to reflect in your life, whereas in all your progress, all your moments of triumph are not being destabilized by all the inner and outer chaos. Of course, the chaos comes, the challenges are definitely there. Sometimes there is procrastination and stagnation in the journey as well, no problem about that. But this time, it doesn't stop you. It's not enough to destabilize you. And you might have thought at the beginning of this journey that every fall is gonna make it much more difficult for you to pick yourself up and just continue and muster the strength. But this is where your expectations might have been unmet in the best way possible, because actually picking yourself up gets easier and easier and easier. And with all this doom and gloom in the world out there, so, every industry, domain, every area of life is affected, you're actually going through the phase where every day is just a little bit better. And even those things that used to trigger you, depress you, make you feel desperate, frightened, make you feel, like genuine sorrow, those things no longer have power over you. They come, of course, they still come into your life, but they just can't really touch you. They can't really hurt you anymore, if that makes sense. So, funny enough, your breakthrough is already being lived. In returning to the symbolism of you constructing the building, when that building will have a roof, and that building is going to be covered up, so it truly becomes protected from the elements, so to speak, then you won't even need breakthrough after that, because it's there. It's livable. It will logically, rationally, undoubtedly, without any other possibility, get better and better each and every day, but in a much more visible way. Because that will be the moment when you're no longer constructing on the outside. You're beautifying on the inside of your own building, temple, tower, call it whatever you want. So, but when you'll get to that stage, you won't even remember the breakthrough or the necessity for it. You will have simply everything that you need, and you will be in the work mode, in the construct and creative mode. You will be just living that in your life. You'll be embodying the archetype of the alchemist, the temperance card, where you will just take new projects, find new ways to basically create, alchemize, transform, transmute, both of course symbolically in a much more spiritual, metaphysical way, but also quite physically as well, because I do see that you're such a creative person that you want to add a touch of art onto everything that you do. You want to make beauty, the philosophical expression of beauty, to be an inspirational force. So basically, whatever you're creating, whatever you're working on, even if it's just a business, even if it's a job that you are doing, it's still so very multidimensional. There are so many parts to it. So it's not boring, and it's not gonna get boring anytime soon. And also the temperance, money and the material resources, the breakthrough that you think you need, well, it's coming. It's not coming as in, you know, a big sack of gold, let's say, raining down from the sky and there it's yours. It's coming like more and more and more income as you progress. So more money available to you periodically. That's why I said that don't expect one moment, but it's a big work in progress. And the income, how should I say, the prosperity, the flow of resources, regardless of what that means to you, is going to be more abundant as you progress in time. So basically, to answer the question when your breakthrough is likely to happen, well, because it is something that it takes place over a period of time, I can only actually tell you when you'll get into that stage of your journey where you have met much more needs, or how should I say, your life materially, and this includes the psychological factor, how safe you feel, how grounded you feel. So when your life gets to this stage where you have much more needs met than those which are not met, when you already have much more to work with than needs or lacks and stuff like that, well, that might take place in perhaps April 2022, when something that you're learning, something that you're perhaps trying to master, or you know, repetition is the key to mastery also. So something that you're doing very, very well, but at the same time, by doing it, you're also learning it and perfecting yourself and becoming better, stronger each and day. When that process comes to an end, and when I say comes to an end, quite physically speaking, materially speaking, because you have reached a level where you can do something else with that. So learning and progressing and becoming more masterful will take on a totally different expression, not the linear one. So basically what I'm saying, in physical reality, a moment will come around April perhaps, or even before that, next year, 2022, when either you will have to sign a contract, commit to something, or maybe launch your website, something that you've been working on is ready, a book, a course, whatever nature, maybe relocating a home, or perhaps purchasing something in the sense of investment in equipment, or something that you really need to take it to the next level. The completion of that will be the moment when your life actually turns, but in a rather natural way, so it's not going to be like a big shock or big surprise or the lottery win and stuff like that. It's going to be much more like whatever you're working on is there, it is standing, it exists, it is almost self-sufficient in a certain kind of way. So now you can just, the Four of Swords, relax, enter into a totally different rhythm of life where, you know, nothing else matters as much. You're living your reality, you're living your life, you're living your truth, you're being yourself, you're doing everything in your life specific to who you are. So basically everything that you have been working on, all of your journey, including the big turmoils in the distant past, and your last fall, and everything that you sacrificed, suffered, everything that you have done, will simply just become a norm. You will no longer be living that. That will turn into a memory. That will turn into just a wisdom, an energy. It will no longer be running in your life. So that means that basically your mental pattern, your mindset, the way your mind functions on autopilot, especially each and every single day, your daily routines, that will simply just calm down, and you can embrace that new, much calmer, much smooth, much more relaxed reality of yours, and just basically live it. And perhaps the most important part is still the King of Pentacles. So the feeling of groundedness, stability, security, and that state of being, basically that frequency that you're here, you are in your life, and everything is okay. That will also fortify you psychologically so very much that basically the challenges that might have frightened you until this moment and still do perhaps right now, those are just gonna wash off of you. As in, yeah, they might come in your life, no problem at all. Everyone has, like relatives, everyone has connections, so maybe there will be a moment of conflict, maybe a relative will have problems and a family crisis and stuff like that. But none of those, no dramas, no challenges, no obstacles, no losses even, will really mean much to you. It will not be enough to stir up your soul, to send you into panic mode, into anxiety mode. This is where you will be so very grateful that you finally have that life which you can just be you, that nothing else in the world will matter to you anymore. And if something would be enough to stir you up, so to speak, well, that is when life offers you opportunities for new adventures, so it will be actually the adventure mode. But this is where maybe right now you might be going through a bit of stagnation, a bit of procrastination. Things seem to be pretty stuck right now. So you might not be in the most optimistic mood, yet still these cards are a clear reflection that the hard part is completed, that you're almost there, that as difficult as this may sound, maybe you might not even need a breakthrough anymore, regardless of what you believe and think, because something might have already happened in your recent past, a gesture or a communication, or you sharing something, you putting something on the internet, or maybe just planting a seed of intention into the universe that is already producing very significant effects. You're just not aware of that, and you don't even know what you have actually done, because you might have done 100 different things in the recent past. You might not be able to guess which one of your actions, your inspired actions of course, is doing the job, but chances are you might already be very close to that stage where things are actually okay, and you're safe, and you're stable, and that big move that you still need to take, that Six of Swords, that is also pretty close, and it really doesn't take a big miracle for that to complete. Yet naturally you might not see it this way, you might not see it so relaxed, so calm, so already set in stone at this moment. You might still be in a little bit of a panic mode. How am I gonna do it? I can't stop now. My life can't fall apart right now when I'm, in the work, in the process of doing it. But I do believe that you have absolutely nothing to worry about, because you're much closer than you could possibly imagine. And also the biggest thing, the most important element was your healing. Because your healing, especially to be able to almost the sheer fact to perceive a state of groundedness and safety, to be able to actually process that there is that kind of emotional state even for you and who you are. It's not just for other people. You can feel that and experience it as well. In order to get there, in order to open those very special senses which sense security and safety, you had to face so many fears of yours, and you really had to fight your mind, because your mind is the opposite of that. Your mind is a worrier, overdoer, overthinker. Your mind is of such nature where when you have no problems in your life, let's say, it thinks for other people, it worries about other people, it wants to, how should I even say, anticipate how things might play out for other people in the best intent possible. So your mind is not very easy to work with in this sense because it's too much. And you really had to learn how to calm it down and to make it serve you and not the other way. So that was the key, truly, to embody this King of Pentacles. Not even as much all the physical part of this work that you had to do. So if you look back to maybe just 6 months ago, you are different. Your life is different. The breakthrough energetically, karmically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically has already happened because you know that you're different. So this is what the cards have to say for you guys. Thank you so much for listening and wish you a lot of success in the months to come. Hello everyone who has chosen the second pile. Your cards are the Nine of Pentacles reversed, the Devil reversed, the Emperor and the Ace of Pentacles. Now I'm picking up from these combination of cards that you're someone who is fighting with every fiber of their being for your independence. And even though this can represent more than one thing, yet still there is still money in the picture, if that makes sense. Because the money is basically the power, the material power that needs to give you your freedom, even if your freedom is not, how should I say, challenged by material stuff. You still need this material element to it. Or for some people, it's not quite material, but rather self-worth. Now, I'm not sure what your position is, because this can be different things for different people. Like, for some people, it's very straightforward. It's the classical case where they might feel enslaved by a job, by their job simply, by their career, by their difficult material situation that simply cannot permit them to live life as a free person, if that makes sense. Of course, no one's really free, and freedom like that is an illusion, absolutely. But there are levels to that, if that makes sense. If someone can't even, go out to a restaurant or buy some basic need, that is when it really gets bitter. That is when you truly feel enslaved. That is when it becomes a massive crisis. For other people, maybe it's a relationship. Maybe you might be depending materially on a partner or children on their parents. Or, maybe you depend on a little bit of help from everyone really in your life because you're not that well off materially. This can also be like a psychological dependency where you wanna go out and start a new life. You wanna do what you know you're good at, or your dreams, or your passions, your desires, but you cannot muster the courage to go and do it. That can also be a big fight for independence and freedom, just that the fight here is very much more psychological than anything else. And the money issue here, even if you might have the resources right now to go and do that, because you're not actually quite there psychologically, even if you would go physically and try to do that, maybe you would just live up your money and just try to heal yourself, because you wouldn't be able to take the first steps and just go and do something, express your freedom. While for others still, this can be even more twisted than that. Maybe you are free already and you can also have what you need to be financially independent, but what you're lacking is actually a person, a partner in crime, symbolically speaking, a soulmate or a best friend who you can do things together, as in, you might be that kind of person for whom independence doesn't mean solo, For you, maybe independence means to collaborate with someone, either romantically, professionally, or just have someone in your life and do things with that person. Because that might be the expression of your freedom naturally. So you might have everything in your life except that person who you truly need. That person to complete you. That person to give you the position of a role. And this might be especially true for those who are partner archetypes. For example, if your life path number is 11 or 2, you're made to be a partner. So even if you have everything in your genes to live comfortably and conquer the world solo, that's not what your heart, or how should I say, your instincts want. But anyway, let's speak about your moment of breakthrough, because this 9 of coins is your situation, but I do believe that this is nothing really new, because you have been fighting it for this the past 9 years of your life. Just that, of course, you also had a lot of moments of breakthrough or moments of genuine independence, and then compromises, the complications of life. Or maybe you just indulged in other things and gave up this dream of yours, this necessity. So, the past is so and so. Of course, you could have made wiser choices, but then again, you can't regret the choices that you have made. So the distant past is really complicated. We cannot judge why you haven't managed to keep that ongoing, if that makes sense. But this also leads us to the past 9 months of your life, when in the past 9 months, not only did you just realize the strict necessity to this, but all of your instincts, your gut, everything about you fought very, very hard, because it was almost like you giving yourself the ultimatum. Look, either we achieve breakthrough and one way or another get to live our independence, or I'm definitely going to go down trying. So this means that there is already a lot of effort invested into this, and I do believe that in the past 9 months, never ever in your life have you truly fought harder for this. But because it's reversed, it's not yet quite there. But what is genuinely there is the devil reversed. And that means that there was a lot of cord cutting in your life. People just had to disappear. The past had to be the past. And there might have been a lot of zombie-like relationship in your life, where, people wronged you, or there was a big, big reason for a disconnection, the termination of the relationship, but you tolerated and tolerated and tolerated until one after another they pushed your buttons so hard that you said, no, this has to be cut. The cord cutting has to truly take place, because there is no room in my life for this anymore. Then there was the inner work and psychological part, where you really, really needed to prepare for independence, as in fight every single doubt, reason that your mind could come up with why you shouldn't do that, why you're not worthy, why you don't deserve it, or why that isn't for you. And chances are the hardest part here is that you had to somehow come to the conclusion that certain people who are truly taking away your sense of freedom, because there's a strong karmic connection between you two, like for example parents, best friends, children, certain important people in your life, you had to realize that the road to hell is paved with good intention. There is a fine limit of what you can sacrifice for other people, regardless how close they are to you. And there is a limit, when that limit is basically stepped over, it's not okay anymore, no matter what reasons you can come up with. It's never ever okay to sacrifice your basic human dignity. So maybe that was the hardest part, making the decision that you need to be truly independent from absolutely everyone or anything in your life that would take it away from you, because this is the gift of your mind. You have that very special, how should I say, trait where your mind, regardless of how your body and your situation is, your mind is still free. So nothing really, your emotions can trick your mind. Your emotions may burst like oceans of compassion why you should sacrifice, but that doesn't trick your mind. Your mind always knows where the limit lies, and even if it tolerates, it still lets you know that, look, just because I go along with the flow and give, let's say, importance to the emotional side, and that is what matters, so let the heart lead you. Your mind is still telling you that doesn't mean that I don't know that it's not okay what we're doing. And without your very strong mind and intellect, you would not be here today in your fight for independence, at least. Because no matter what happened in your life and which complicated, dramatic, emotionally fueled situation you might have been in, nothing could really trick your mind. So that is where you could not become a slave or to lose your independence totally. At least you could think for yourself, you could think freely, you could think clearly, objectively, and that was your saving grace. So now that you actually balanced out your mind with the emotions, you realized all the hard things that you needed to realize about yourself, what is healthy and what is not, and most importantly, that basically you not having your independence is not even an option. So basically there is no other choice but for you to complete this, and finally you're taking it as seriously as possible, almost as if your life literally depends on it. So that is a really, really good thing. The devil reversed. The key to genuine freedom is first of all to be free in your mind and not to allow that which, let's say, is more physical, more situational, even if it binds you down, as long as you're free in your mind, as long as you can generate hope, as long as you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, as long as you know what freedom means and tastes like, you're not really enslaved. Just a part of you. And at the same time, there is the emotional part. Not to always be in conflict with your emotions. Just allow them to be felt. Just allow them to flow. And you are much, much more control of yourself, your choices, your way of thinking, your decisions, if you allow your emotions to flow, rather than to always try and police them and discipline yourself in, I'm not saying that it's an unhealthy way, but forcing yourself not to feel or to feel imperatively this, that, and that, or to just see one side of the spectrum, let's say, even if it's just the positive one. That's not you. So freedom also means allowing your inner mechanism, you are who you are, to be an embodied principle, to allow your being to work and process freely. And that is done, that is completed. You already have that in your life without a shadow of a doubt. So the psychological, mental, spiritual part is already completed. And what this means is that you're actually already the king of your own castle, the emperor. You know who you are, you know what you want to do, you know what you don't want to do, you know who you are not, you know what your goals, plans, desires, dreams for your future are. Your happiness truly, in the most literal sense, no longer depends on anyone, anything, any situation. You're not even conditioning your breakthrough. The way you're basically approaching this is that when it comes because I know 1,000,000% that it has to come one day. And that is why you're actually king of your own castle, because it is coming. And because you're already acting, or better said, being like a person who might already have that independent life. You're making choices, projecting everything onto other people, including it in your work. Basically the vibe, the mindset, the life outlook, everything subtle that matters quite a lot. Because you're already doing it, embodying it, acting like a person who already has that matters quite a lot. That's why you're the emperor already, and things are already working out for you. That Nine of Pentacles is not gonna stay reversed for much longer. And even if fatedly, if that makes sense, according to the karmic patterns, perhaps that breakthrough moment, according, as I said again, to divine timing, was or is scheduled in 6 months' time. And psychologically speaking, that's a lot of time for you. You might have even had goosebumps in the bad sense when you heard the 6 months. Yet, because you're doing what you're doing, you're already acting as if like you have what you want. That is pushing time, that is basically distorting divine timing onto your favor. So the cards tell us that we can't even guess when that breakthrough moment comes, because you're pushing it forward. You're almost unwillingly making that date come closer to you, the Ace of Pentacles, because you are acting the way you're acting, because you're actually embodying the Emperor, using your sovereign will, using your creation powers. So that Ace of Pentacles, the means for your freedom, is fast approaching in your life. And basically, the more you act this way, the quicker it comes. And regardless of what your situation is, chances are it might be either money, maybe, I don't know, for some people an inheritance, a big donation gift, or an opportunity like a contract where you will definitely sign it because it's too good to be true kind of contract, or something from the past miraculously returns to your life, and an injustice perhaps materially that you suffered who knows when just fixes itself. It just turns around. While for other people it can be in the shape and form of a person who will see you exactly for who you are, and they will support you unconditionally. So that's like being free. And perhaps that is also part of the devil reversed, that you also had to learn how to receive unconditionally, not just give. So, things are definitely working out for you guys. And even though I'm not able to say precisely when that opportunity comes, well, it's closer than 6 months. So it really kind of depends on you, just that unwillingly. So this is what the cards have to say for you guys. Thank you so much for being here and listening, and wish you all the success in the world, and keep on fighting for your freedom, for your independence, whatever that might mean to you. Hi everyone who has chosen the third pile. Your cards are the Temperance, the Sun reversed, the Nine of Wands reversed, and the Hermit. Now I must say that this situation is quite delicate, and it might not really resonate for most people. So if this doesn't resonate, just consider the other two piles, because this reading is meant for someone who is on a very, very serious, as in really serious spiritual journey. Basically, that's what their life is all about. So this is where that's the most important thing in their lives. And that person might be going through some really tough time right now. So if this isn't you, then perhaps consider the other two piles. But if this is actually you, then please stay tuned. So first of all, I have to say that in the past perhaps 5 years, or better said, over the course of the past 5 years until 2020 perhaps, your life slowly first, but very, very surely started just falling apart, in a sense purifying, but this is the hard kind of purification, where the dark night of the soul, on and off, was like your best friend, if that makes sense. Basically, that's all you had. The dark night of the soul, different stages of almost nihility, like total ego death, total doom of everything that was almost human inside of you, if that makes sense. But of course, that had a big and important other side of the coin, where healing and discovering your spirituality and basically being reborn and miracles have happened to you a lot. Like basically how your life was and is right now, it's like two different dimensions. But this is where before, as in before the big dark night of the soul, you were still spiritual, don't get me wrong, but your life was almost like a spiritual documentary, if that makes sense. So it was like you trying your hardest, learning a lot of successes and magic and beautiful moments, and you helping people, yes, of course, but it still felt like, almost like a documentary. It lacked the intensity. But your life, spiritually, especially after, was like, living in an endless fantasy where things which shouldn't be real were real. So this is what I mean, the other side of the coin, as hard, as ruthless, as like infernal as it was, the other side of the coin was that much more, let's say, spectacular. And the things that you witnessed, the things that you done, the things that you have accomplished, even quite materially speaking, for example, creating something, doing something for another person, your magic manifesting before you, something like that. It was like big. But still, in the present moment, you're totally appreciative of that. Everything is received with total gratitude. But your life is still pretty much the same, in the sense that it's every single day, it's almost like another chapter of the Twilight Zone. And you might really start panic inside of you that, okay, but I cannot do this for many more years because I'll be insane for real. And you really need this to like start becoming something. Anything, but at least, something you can process, something you can live with, something you can accept as your reality. But the thing is, the most important part of all of this was the healing journey. A lot of childhood traumas had to be pulled to the surface and admitted to yourself, because it's, of course, you lived through those traumas which were really hard. Like, those are hardcore savage stuff that happened to you. Stuff which usually breaks people for life. And it's not like, of course, you were always honest with yourself, but perhaps because of your spirituality and your spiritual journey, even before this big shift, you didn't know, or you were not aware of the fact that it hurt you so profoundly that it just crushed your heart totally. But because you were born to be a healer, of course you kind of instinctually made it much bearable, if that is an acceptable term for yourself. So that is why you weren't aware of how truly strongly you were wounded. And if that wasn't enough, a lot of relationships, even work relationships, where bosses, managers like really hurt you. They really made you feel like an undignified person when you were the most dignified person from even the whole city, let's say. So there are all these things that just wounded you, put the dagger in your heart, and because of your great, colossal, monumental, incredible even strength, psychological strength, emotional strength, and the good intent inside of you, as I said, you were born to be a spiritualist from day one, from your first breath. So of course this operated inside of you. But you weren't aware of how wounded you became until the sun reversed. Your consciousness truly, in a literal sense, started to shut down. And this might be the case of June this year, actually, when you just said, I don't even know who I am as a human. I know the spiritual stuff and the divine stuff. All of that is more clear than ever before. No problem with that. I am so very found in that sense. But as a member of society, as a human being, as someone who has your name, your identity, your ID card, if that makes sense, you don't even know who that person is, or that person doesn't even exist. You know, it's almost like a hermit crab, where it stayed in the shell for so long. When it comes out of the shell and it's just himself exposed, it will not feel right. And this was so very hard for you because you asked for divine guidance to finally somehow the universe tell you why your life isn't stable yet, because no dark night of the soul and no up and down lasts for this long. And at the same time, it can end either way, if you know what I mean. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be a triumph or a healing or a victory, because there are so many people who lose the battle. They're ancient souls even, they are hyper powerful beings, and they still lose the battle with themselves. But you feel like you haven't won, but you haven't lost. You're stuck in between this two polarities, despair and bliss at the same time, and it just drives you mad. And as a human being, you don't even exist. And why? The universe answered why. Because your heart was so broken. Only now, perhaps just now, in this Scorpio season, are you becoming aware of it. You might be becoming aware that for the first time you actually have human needs. You would like an embrace, a hug, a cuddle, maybe a kiss, or you would like just a simple conversation with someone when the topic is about you for the first time in your life. Or you genuinely desire to taste a dessert, the sweetness, the pleasure of the senses. And all of this is a little bit alien to you, to be truly honest. Because before your big shift, your spiritual journey, you made it very tough for yourself. You didn't allow yourself to taste any of life's pleasures for the name of spirituality and your spiritual journey and learning and becoming more than human, let's say. And yeah, you got what you wanted and you got what you worked for, but you were wounded to begin with, and then you were also strict with yourself, and you really immersed into spirituality much more than it was healthy for anyone of your age. So it's no surprise that right now you're, as in, let's say, a part of you, the ego, the human identity, is not even created. It's not there. So the universe wants to give you your life back. It wants to offer you the breakthrough. Yes, you know that you getting your life back is way overdue. It's very late. It should have been here years ago. And also the spiritual side of it is there. That's definitely there. That's like 200% there. You are capable of doing big things every single day and you're doing it. But the other part, the human part, is very, very much missing. You can't exist just in that spiritual vibe and dimension of yours, even if you're manifesting it. Because the more you use that power, the more you embody your upgraded spirituality. So after the big shift, the more spirit and ethereal you become. And it's like, how should I say? Maybe you're seeing on yourself that you're losing weight and your physical body is getting weaker and weaker, but that's because you're becoming that which you admire so much. So you need to create your human self. You need to give shape and form. You need to know who you are. And you have to allow yourself to have the right to be that human being. You need to have a favorite food. You need to have a favorite activity, but a down-to-earth activity. An activity which is just material, physical, and there is not too much spirit in it. You have to allow that to yourself. You need to allow to be loved. You need to allow to hug someone. And you need to verbalize all of this. You need to actually say that you need this. You need the taste. You need the pleasure. You need to have a friend. You need to have a cuddle. You need to have maybe a partner. Because the hermit there, you're also very, very lonely. And in the present moment, you might be making the same mistake that you have done all your life. You're not aware of how much it hurts you because you have this self-nurturing tendency, which is like a true literal, but I mean like literal superpower. You snap your fingers and you heal. And then you don't know how much you're hurt. Exactly because of your hyper spirituality. For you, being optimistic and positive and focusing on the good side of things works literally there and then. Or whatever magical spiritual act that you do, it works there and then. So, many times you're not even aware of the pain that you're feeling in a very conscious human way. You just see yourself from the outside, because that is what a good spiritualist does, isn't it? And then you make that judgment, oh, don't worry, you're okay, really, you'll get over this. But sometimes you need to do the human thing, to be subjective, and to give in to the pain and to admit, I am very lonely. And it hurts me infinitely. That is sometimes what you need to do in order to shape and form the human identity that you're missing. And there is this 9 of Wands. The breakthrough is genuinely wanting to come. It's there. As in a huge amount of energy, a huge amount of, let's say, dharma, karma, call it whatever you want. As, let's say, divine resource of the primordial soup. But you need to be the lattice. You need to be the recipient, if that makes sense. But if you're like water, if you're like air, if you're the spirit, if you embody your highest principles constantly 24/7, you will never take shape and form. So that energy will stay there in the ether, let's say, as divine gratitude. As the divine wants to reward you, wants to fulfill your wishes, wants to make you happy, wants to make your life easier, wants to actually show you what it's like to be at the end of the tunnel and be in the light. But who for? You're not really seriously thinking that you're gonna just ascend and become a body of light, because that's not why you came here. You could have done that in other lifetimes. Because you kind of know who you are. You came here to do this, what you're doing right now, but also from the perspective of a story of a human being, actually. And right now you're so very intelligent and creative at everything that you could possibly be to recover everything that you missed out on. For example, of course you couldn't find out who you are when you had such childhood, so that missed out. The teen years when you were on survival mode, then you missed out because you couldn't be like other kids, you couldn't experience what other kids and teenagers experienced. Then when you could, you chose not to because you gave everything to your work and studies and whatever you wanted to do in that stage of your life. So basically all your life you had to be the 9 of Wands, the strong person, the big sibling who has to take all the responsibility, the worker, the one who is mature, the one who sees things from the outside, from divine eyes, to give yourself always to the divine and execute the divine will and all that stuff. And of course it's commendable, of course it is the biggest feat of strength that one could possibly display. But right now you have to choose. Either you ascend but not in the best sense at all, or you really, how should I say, stop yourself from judging that everything is ego and everything that the ego wants, does, aspires is wrong and is an offense to the spirit. Just try your hardest to basically create yourself, to create a human identity for yourself. As in, I am what I am, but you need to be something. Even as a human being. You need to have a future. You need to have so many things in your life. So in order for that big buildup of karmic divine energy, which you worked for and which is basically the key to the breakthrough, the energy, the spirit resource, which will manifest that life that you're after, that you deserve and need, and many other people in your position already got. So basically, the reason why everything is so late and overdue for you, you just need to express to the universe who you are, including a human being with human identity, not just that which you already know and do and embody, that which is the most important part of your life. You just need to basically create that this is who I am, this is who I love, this is what my life is about, this is what I can accept in my life, these are my aspirations, these are my bad qualities, of course, this is my shadow, and it's absolutely fine to be like that. I want to make mistakes, I want to get into bad situations, because this is also what's life about. I don't want to be perfect, I don't want to do things by the book, I don't want my spirituality to be one-sided, so of course you have to get into trouble. Of course you have to do so many things which you oppose strongly. So basically just do that. Allow, just when a star is born, don't be a brown dwarf who doesn't have light of its own. Allow the inner implosion to create the fusion that you need to be a real star. And that is, whenever you do that, that is the breakthrough will follow after, maybe even days after. So this is why it's really up to you, and the universe might have been telling you all along that it's up to you, and you never understood. Because you always thought you'd done the right thing and it didn't come, and the divine promise was not fulfilled, yet you kept seeing sign that it's gonna be okay, it's coming, it's happening, keep on doing what you're doing, keep on your path, and still it always eluded you. Well, that's what it means. You need to be that lattice onto which the great spiritual resource attaches itself and creates it. As in, like, let's say spiritual resource, the light, all of the ether. Well, it needs to meet the information in order to know what shape and form it is supposed to take, because it can't take a random or chaotic shape and form in this unique special case, because it's about your life and future, if you know what I mean. It cannot be all that random, and of course the divine knows you better than you know yourself, but not necessarily as a human being, whereas in half of that is your choice, your creation, your input. No one else can do that for you, so allow yourself to be the human, to be the even animal, to sometimes embody your reptilian brain. And if what you need for your life to feel like a life is a partner, because the hermit, you might have asked the universe to make you a hermit, as in a real life, in literal hermit, so you just spend all the rest of your life in philosophy with the universe and prayer, whatever, and that was denied. So you know what I mean. If you want to have a partner, well, that partner needs to know who you are, not just as a soul. Because even if that partner would be like you and would take the spirituality so seriously, does that person need a flesh and blood spiritual being when they can connect just like you? That person needs a flesh and blood being with identity, with someone who thinks at least that they're human, if you know what I mean. Because that's how you do stuff together, that's how you live life together, that's how you get in trouble together and stuff like that. The magic of life. The magic of life is not just pure spirit. So I'm so very sorry. The universe once again says probably what it said to you all along, that it depends on you. So whenever you're ready, whenever that inner fusion takes place inside of you and you become, symbolically speaking, the star, when you start speaking about yourself, your preferences, your likes, your dislikes, who you are, and just like actually showing other people and the world your human side, then is the moment when things will start truly, very quickly and very intensely coming together for you. So thank you so much for listening. I do hope that this was helpful, and I wish you the best of luck and strength to basically just birth yourself into existence. Well, this concludes today's reading. Thank you everyone for being here and for listening. Thank you for all the generosity, likes and comments. If you'd like to keep on supporting my work and making sure that my channel can survive these hard times, you can donate as little or as much as you'd like in the PayPal link in the description below. And with this being said, I wish everyone a lot of strength, a lot of hope, faith that can truly move mountains, and let's all remember that the future that we want is not set in stone. It really depends on us, how much we are willing to create it. Thank you once again. Until next time, bye for now.